We have made it through another week together, and tonight, even as the death toll continues to grow, another horrific 24 hours in New York alone, 777 lives lost in one day. There are still much needed signs tonight that the curve might be flattening. But the governor of New York is urging caution, and President Trump tonight on the decision on when and how to get America back to work, acknowledging, I know I've got to make the biggest decision of my life. Every night, of course, we bring you the numbers here, and this evening the coronavirus has now taken the lives of more than 18,000 people in this country, more than 2,000 in the past 24 hours. In New York City, the difficult images tonight, the morgues are so full that they have now acknowledged they are burying unclaimed bodies on Hart Island at a much faster pace. There are glimmers of hope tonight. What we learned about patients in the ICU, more patients leaving than arriving in ICUs across New York. But elsewhere in the country tonight, the numbers are still surging. A temporary hospital opening up today in Boston's Convention Center, and an emotional Massachusetts Governor Charles Baker warning there are a very difficult couple of weeks ahead there. Kentucky tonight reporting its largest single-day increase in cases and in deaths. Texas Governor Greg Abbott saying we've not yet reached the peak. The long lines growing even longer tonight for food across this country. And what will it take to get America back open on the other side of this? Every night here, we've been reporting on testing for antibodies, immunity for Americans who might have been exposed to the virus and not know it. There is news on this tonight, and could Americans at some point be carrying some sort of proof that they have some sort of immunity from this virus? What Dr. Anthony Fauci said about that today. So we'll carefully get through it all again tonight, and we begin with ABC's Whit Johnson here in New York.
Tonight, inside these hard-hit ICUs, finally a promising sign. For the first time since the outbreak began in New York, more people leaving those intensive care units than going in. The rate of hospitalizations down.
As someone who searches for solace in all this grief, the leveling off of the number of lives lost is a somewhat hopeful sign.
The death toll slightly lower, but appearing to hold steady at a staggering loss. 777 people dying in the last 24 hours. Morgues filling so quickly, crews are now digging more space at Hart Island, the city's cemetery used to bury unclaimed bodies. The crisis also playing out in maternity wards. We were taken inside Maimonides Hospital in Brooklyn, the scare of a lifetime for Iris Nolasco. Diagnosed with COVID-19, 30 weeks pregnant, doctors ordering an emergency C-section.
I just prayed to God to protect my baby and the people that I had at home. I thought that I would die then.
Her next memory special but short-lived. The sound of her baby girl crying, but doctors immediately separating the two, taking the newborn away to the NICU to shield her from the virus.
The only way I've seen my baby is through a camera, and I was able to open it 24/7 and see how my baby's doing, breathing, smiling sometimes, yawning.
Iris connected to her daughter through a baby monitor only. Little Isabella Michelle, still in the hospital, but improving. Iris is now recovering at home, hoping their first official meeting is just days away.
I just hope that I'll be, able to hold her and then just protect her. Once this is over, I just want to spend every second with her and create that bond that we are missing now.
Tonight, as we've been reporting, a terrible toll on African Americans in this country. And in New York City, 34% of coronavirus deaths in the Latino community. For millions of Americans, life on hold. But the message, stay home and stay the course.
It's really about the encouraging signs that we see. But as encouraging as they are, we have not reached the peak.
But still an emergency in so many cities. Today, the Detroit Convention Center turned field hospital now treating COVID patients. The state now taking more drastic steps, banning travel between homes starting tomorrow.
Our most vulnerable citizens are dying in a helpless manner.
In Maryland, the governor warning there are tough days ahead.
We are ramping up the curve. This is going to be one of our most dangerous times ever this weekend and over the next week or so.
But in Florida, which was slower than other states to order restrictions, the governor considering reopening schools in May and saying this.
This particular pandemic is one where I don't think nationwide there's been a single fatality under 25. For whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to threaten, kids.
But the CDC saying at least 8 people under 24 have died in the U.S., states reporting 2 infants, 2 teenagers, and young adults among the victims, like 22-year-old Israel Sows, who died a short time after he and his wife welcomed a new baby. Tonight, the White House confirming the president is creating a task force focused on reopening the country, saying he'll announce early next week members of the medical and business communities will help decide how to move forward.
And I've got to make the biggest decision of my life. And I've only started thinking about that. I mean, I've made a lot of big decisions over my life. You understand that. This is by far the biggest decision of my life because I have to say, okay, let's go. This is what we're going to do.
But on the front lines, the battle continues to save lives. Right here yesterday, we met nurse Mary Kate Finero, working in the same Brooklyn ICU where her father, a physician, was being treated for COVID-19. She was caring for others, not him. Difficult for both.
Unfortunately, I was not ever able to go inside of his room, so I didn't want to cross-contaminate between other COVID-19 patients and him, so I waved to him from outside of the glass.
Today, her dad, Dr. Richard Finero, is out of the hospital, and like so many healthcare workers, jumping back in the fight to beat this virus.
When you were in the ICU and you saw your daughter on the other side of the glass, was there ever a moment you wondered you might not make it?
I had many moments like that. In fact, at least 2 days worth. I just could not breathe. Quite frankly, I was frightened. But on top of that, to see my daughter at the same time was very difficult.
We are glad to see him back and well, and the fact that father and daughter watched each other through that glass, what a powerful thing. I do want to get back to what the president did say late today about what he acknowledged will be his most difficult decision about when and how to reopen this country. And the president was asked about reports of new federal projections looking at what would happen if stay-at-home orders were lifted after these 30 days.
David, those projections by federal agencies reported by the New York Times show there would be a dramatic spike in infections if those orders were lifted. President Trump saying he hadn't seen them, but he would listen to his medical experts and in the end make his own decision. David.
All right, Whit Johnson leading us off on a Friday night. Whit, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.